Whether you're looking to initiate an options trade or going through your second part of running the option wheel, a big question a lot of people ask is, should I sell a cash secured put or should I take assignment of shares or buy shares and sell a covered call? Well, to not bury the lead here, they're actually kind of the same exact thing. In this video, we're going to explain why that is and help you make the decision between cash secured puts and covered calls. Welcome back to the Hourglass Trader, where as time passes, we make money. So with my cat as a momentary visitor, let's use DraftKings as an example. Last Friday afternoon, it closed at $41.74 per share. So let's flash the option chain up on the screen. And you'll say maybe at $41.74, we'll sell a 41.5 strike put. It's slightly out of the money. That's a good initial position. And those are going for about 95 cents. Or alternatively, you could say, hey, maybe I want to buy 100 shares. Maybe I want to sell covered calls. And I would do the same strike, right? So 41.5 strike covered calls going for $1.21. And like we told you at the front of the video, these are exactly the same thing, but very importantly, let's understand conceptually why that is. So if we look at the 41.5 strike put, like we said, we'd get 95 cents for it. If DraftKings stayed perfectly flat at 41.74, we know that that would effectively expire for max profit, and we'd get $95. The 95 cents a premium is 95 bucks. That's easy enough. The 100 shares, we know that that would stay flat, so we'd be flat on profit there. And then our 41.5 strike covered calls are going to be 24 cents in the money, so those would be worth 24 cents at close. Now what you notice is that our profit of $95 on the cash secured puts is almost the exact same as the $97 of profit we would get on the covered calls. And why is that? The answer is generally that extrinsic value, that value that we're deriving our profit from on these options that we sell, is generally going to be the same at the exact same strike. And this works for all different prices. So if DraftKings went up to 44 and we hit max profit still on those covered calls, the difference is still 2. If DraftKings went down to 40 and we started seeing some losses, the difference is still 2. We'd lose 55 here, we lose 53 here. Any price you put in for DraftKings, the loss that you get on that cash secured put is going to be offset effectively and equally by the loss that you would have on the shares as part of the covered calls. So that's what's happening here. We could literally put 555 bucks in there. It doesn't matter. It could go to zero. It doesn't matter. There's still only going to be a $2 difference between the results of these positions. So it's a really, really important concept to understand. And how do we take this knowledge and use it to our advantage? And to me, the answer is understanding what is happening when we're selling a cash secured put versus what's happening when we're actually buying stock, especially in an environment where there are higher interest rates. So right now, between T-bills, money market funds, things like CDs, you could reliably get somewhere between about 4 and 5% risk-free return. And that's just off the cash that you have sitting around. But let's say for the sake of the example, we were going to buy $100,000 of DraftKings shares, or we were going to sell $100,000 worth of cash secured puts. If we sell the cash secured puts, let's think about what's actually happening when we sell those puts. We sell puts and the counterparty gives us money. So if we had an account with $100,000 in it and we sell $100,000 worth of cash secured puts, we still have $100,000 sitting in our account and we still have that same exposure to these cash secured puts. Where if we were going to take the same approach with buying shares and bought $100,000 worth of shares, we have to give that money in order to get those shares back. So we no longer have money sitting in our account. And with option 1, these cash secured puts where we sell $100,000, for example, of these cash secured puts, we now have $100K of cash sitting in our account. In a higher interest rate environment, we could push that cash into something like a money market fund, into a T-bill, into a CD, and get an additional return on our idle cash on top of that. So typically, while yes, from a profit and loss perspective, as we explained, a cash secured put and a covered call at the same strike are effectively the same position, the real difference here and where you can get a little bit of an edge in making this decision is understanding what you could do as the second step of that. And to me, the second step is understanding how much money we have left in our actual physical account that we could then turn around, put in a money market fund, put in a T-bill, put in a CD, and generate an additional profit. Remember, the overall average return in the S&P 500 historically is just 9 to 10% per year. So if we're able to sell cash secured puts and continually keep those positions rolling and never actually take assignment of shares, we're able to get half of that average return of the S&P 500 right now And it makes our job as investors trying to outperform the market so much easier. So there you have it. To quickly recap, it's the exact same thing from a profit and loss perspective in most cases if you're selling a cash secured put versus buying shares and selling covered calls at the same exact strike. But again, the advantage and edge and where it makes a difference is understanding what you could do on the back end with that money, where in a high interest rate environment like we have right now, it's incredibly advantageous to be selling cash secured puts and try as hard as you can not to take assignment of shares. Because even if something goes really far in the money, you may say, okay, well, I'm really far in the money now. Let's say DraftKings went to 30 and we're like, okay, well, we're really far in the money. Let's take assignment at 30 and then sell covered calls at 33. No, we understand from this video that we could, instead of taking assignment and selling covered calls at 33, we could just roll those puts and sell cash secured puts at 33 and have the same result from a profit and loss perspective. So for those of you who watched, appreciate you watching the video. Hopefully this concept can help guide some of your decision making, whether it's opening a position in the market or managing an existing position, and understand how you could truly get the most out of your capital that you have in play so we can continue to attempt to accomplish our long-term goal of outperforming the market.